Hello, so we are now at the second part of our discussion about adjusting entries. So in this part of our discussion, we will talk about the adjustments for non-cash expenses. So there are two items that we are going to learn here, namely adjustment for uncollectible accounts expense and adjustment for depreciation expense. So let's start with uncollectible accounts expense. So how do we define uncollectible accounts expense? These are accounts receivable that are doubtful of collection. Ibig sabihin, pautang sa customer na hindi na makokolekta. So this amount is just estimated, no? So kaya nga doubtful. Hindi ka pa naman sigurado na hindi nga makokolekta. Pero meron kang estimate na hindi makokolekta kasi usually base yan sa past experience ng business kung ilang percent ang hindi nakokolekta. So it's just an estimate. So bakit ito ginagawa? So adjustment for uncollectible accounts expense is done to adhere to the matching principle. So napag-usapan natin ito dun sa unang section ng ating discussion about adjusting entry. But to recall, the matching principle states that expenses to generate sales must be recognized in the same accounting period as the sales. So, dapat daw, yung expense na ginamit mo para mag-generate ng sales, dapat same period ang recognition nila nung sales. Okay? So, yun yung matching principle. So, kung i-apply natin siya dito sa uncollectible accounts expense, dapat yung bad debts expense nung sales, halimbawa, ng year 1, ay dapat i-recognize ng year 1. So, hindi mo hihintayin na magkaroon ka ng 100% evidence na hindi na siya makukolekta. Year 1 pa lang, i-estimate mo na siya. So, para maka-adhere ka sa matching principle na dapat yung bad debts expense ng year 1 ay kasabay i-record nung sales ng year 1. Same period. So, meron tayong dalawang basis ng pagkukompute ng uncollectible accounts expense. Pwede siyang base sa outstanding receivable. So, meron kang certain percentage, multiply mo sa balance ng receivable at the end of the period. Pwede rin siyang based on sales. Certain percentage din siya na i-multiply sa amount ng sales that year. So, uncollectible accounts expense is also known as bad debts expense. Pwede rin siyang tawaging doubtful accounts expense. Let's have this example. Assume that an entity made credit sales of 1,100,000 in 2020 and prior experience indicates that an expected 1% of these sales will prove uncollectible. The amount of uncollectible accounts is, so we will compute 1,100,000 times 1%. So 11,000. So yan yung estimate natin na hindi makokolekta. No? So 1,100,000 yung pautang natin sa customer in the year 2020, we estimate 1% niyan hindi na makokolekta. By the way, baka magtanong ka, sir, bakit hindi makokolekta? Minsan, ayaw lang magbayad, walang pambayad, or nagtago, or bankrupt na siya. So, we cannot do anything about customers who do not want to pay or who are unable to pay. The only thing that we can do is recognize it as bad debts expense. So, what will be the adjusting entry? We will debit uncollectible accounts expense, 11,000. Pwede rin siyang bad debts expense or doubtful accounts expense. And credit allowance for uncollectible accounts, 11,000. So, parehong bago itong mga account names na ito. Di bali yung uncollectible accounts expense, Kasi expense siya, so familiar na kayo sa expense. Pero ano tong allowance for uncollectible accounts? So, The account allowance for uncollectible accounts is a contra account, specifically contra asset account. So how do we define a contra asset account? It is an account whose balance is deducted from the balance of an asset account. So, later, pag nakarating kayo siguro sa higher accounting, meron ding contra liability account. No? Pero stick muna tayo dito sa contra asset. So, pag contra asset account, yung balance niya ay dinideduct sa balance ng related asset. Okay? And by the way, a contra asset account has a normal credit balance. Kasi nga, contra siya sa asset. Di ba ang asset, normally debit ang balance. Pag contra asset, credit ang balance, normally. So, assuming that the balance of accounts receivable at the end of the year is 90,000 and the allowance account has no beginning balance, the following will appear in the statement of financial position. So, inassume lang natin. So, paano mag-a-appear sa financial statement yung accounts receivable at yung allowance for doubtful accounts? So, ganito mo siya makikita. Assuming na 90,000 yung accounts receivable, so ayan, less allowance for uncollectible accounts na 11,000, so you will have a net realizable value of 79,000. So, kung makakalimutan natin gawin itong adjusting entry for uncollectible accounts, so nireproduce ko dito yung adjusting entry. Ano ang epekto niya sa financial statement? So, I'll give you some moments to guess or to think. So, the effect will be understated expense. Kasi mawawala yung debit mo sa uncollectible accounts expense. Net income, overstated. Siyempre, pag kulang yung expense mo, labis yung tubo mo. So, overstated net income. And asset is overstated. Bakit? Because the contra asset is understated. So, medyo konting sayaw ng analysis. So, bakit overstated yung asset? Kasi, yung contra account mo kulang. Diba? Kasi mawawala yung credit part mo na allowance for uncollectible accounts. Yun yung credit part. Pag wala yan, kulang ang contra asset. Pag kulang ang contra asset, yung value ng asset mo, labis. Diba yung contra asset, binabawa sa asset. So, pag kulang yung contra asset, labis or overstated ang iyong asset. So, before we proceed to the depreciation expense, yung uncollectible accounts expense, mas madidiscuss pa siya ng malaliman sa higher accounting subjects. So, we now proceed to depreciation expense. So, matching principle dictates that the cost of a long-term asset, for example, equipment, must be allocated to its useful life. Ano yung ibig sabihin niyan? Di ba yung equipment, yung building, matagal siyang nagagamit, more than 1 year. So, hindi tama na yung buong cost ng equipment or building ay i-expense mo lang sa isang accounting period. Dapat, hahati-hatiin mo siya sa maraming taon. Kamatch nung taon na nakikinabang sa kanya yung business. So, yun po yung ating logic behind depreciation. So, as we discuss here, because the long-term asset will give benefits for more than one accounting period, this allocation is what we call depreciation. So, yun po yung tinatawag nating depreciation. Yung cost ng isang long-term asset, unti-unti natin ini-expense habang pinakikinabangan natin yung asset. So, hindi natin siya ini-expense ng 100% year 1. Kasi yung benefit natin sa asset na yan ay beyond year 1. So, yung depreciation, pwede rin natin siyang isipin na the decrease in a long-term asset's value when it is being used. Yung bang habang ginagamit yung asset, naluluma. So, yung pagkaluma niya, yung pagbaba ng value niya, yun yung tinatawag din natin depreciation. So, the simplest method of depreciation is the straight line depreciation. So, yun yung gagamitin natin dito, pero sa higher accounting, marami pang method na pag-aaralan. So, using straight line depreciation, you will have equal amounts of depreciation per accounting period. The formula, asset cost less salvage value all over asset's useful life. So that will give you the annual depreciation for that asset. So let us now define ano ba yung salvage value. So salvage value is the amount recoverable from the sale of the asset at the end of its useful life. So pag yung lumang-luma na siya, 'di ba? Normally ibebenta 'yan nung business. So magkano ba yung mare-recover mo sa asset na 'yan pag lumang-luma na siya, pag narating na niya yung katapusan ng kanyang useful life. So yung kung magkano man yung mare-recover mo diyan sa asset na 'yan, kapag narating na niya yung dulo ng kanyang useful life, yun po yung tinatawag na salvage value. So, yung salvage value po, tinatawag din siyang residual value at scrap value. So, yung numerator ng ating formula, asset cost less salvage value, ang tawag po dun sa amount na makukompute doon, yung numerator, is the assets, depreciable amount, or depreciable cost. Let us have this example. Suppose that Wedding R Us estimated that the service vehicle, which was bought on May 4, will last for 7 years with a salvage value of 84,000. The vehicle was acquired for 420,000. So, base dito sa ating situation, kailangan nating mag-compute ng 1-month depreciation from May 4 to May 31. So, we round it off to the nearest full month. So, let us now compute. So, using the formula cost minus salvage value over useful life, so we now substitute the values. 420,000 less 84,000. So that will give you a depreciable amount of 336,000. Divided by the useful life of the asset in years. So according to our problem, 7 years. So that will give you an annual depreciation of 48,000. But let me emphasize, this is annual. We only need 1 month. So we still have to continue the computation by multiplying 48,000 by 1 over 12 to give the monthly depreciation of 4,000. The adjusting entry will be debit depreciation expense, service vehicle, 4,000. So yung debit na yan, madadagdagan yung iyong expense. And credit, accumulated depreciation, service vehicle. So, 4,000. So, yung credit na yan, mababawasan yung asset mo. So, take note, sa pag-depreciate po, hindi natin direktang kinikredit yung service vehicle. Ang kinredit natin ay yung accumulated depreciation. So, we use a contra-asset account. Accumulated depreciation. So, cost minus accumulated depreciation, so pakitandaan yan, equals the carrying value or carrying amount of the long-term asset. So, yung contra-asset account po na accumulated depreciation, para din siyang yung kanina, yung allowance for doubtful accounts. ibinabawas siya sa related asset. So yung accumulated depreciation, service vehicle, ay ibinabawas sa service vehicle sa financial position or sa balance sheet. So ganito ang magiging itsura niya. The balance sheet as of May 31 will show the following. So makikita mo doon sa balance sheet niya. Service vehicle, 420,000. So hindi nga natin siya binawasan direkta. Less yung contra account niya na accumulated depreciation, 4,000. So that will give you 460,000 carrying amount of the service vehicle. So, ano ang epekto kapag nakalimutang gawin itong adjusting entry for depreciation? So, omission of the adjustment for depreciation. So, ito, nireproduce natin itong adjusting entry for depreciation. So, pag nakalimutan yan, will result to the following. Expense will be understated kasi tinan mo yung adjusting entry mo, may debit sa depreciation expense. So, pag nakalimutan yan, mawawala yung debit part na yan, so kulang ang expense. At syempre, pag kulang ang expense mo, ang iyong net income or tubo is labis or overstated. Another effect, assets will be overstated. Bakit? Kasi yung contra asset ay understated. So, yung accumulated depreciation, which is contra asset, kulang. Pag kulang yon, lalabis ang asset mo. Kasi nga, yung accumulated depreciation ay ibinabawa sa asset. So, this ends the second part of my discussion about adjusting entry. But before proceeding to the third part, I will leave you with this quote. Be willing to walk alone. Many who started with you won't finish with you. So, you can now proceed to the third part of my discussion about adjusting entry.